Hello, I'm doing a book review. I know it's been a while since I've done a book review, but I'm finally back to doing book reviews, and the book I want to review is Horns by Joe Hill. Now, Joe Hill's real name is actually Joe King, and he's actually the son of author Stephen King. Now, he wrote a few other books, like he wrote a book called Heart-Shaped Box, which I heard was really good, and he wrote a collection of short stories called 21st Century Ghost, and his most recent book was a book called Nosferatu, which is supposed to sound like Nosferatu. I actually have it over there, but I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet. So far, Horns is actually the only book I've read from Joe Hill, but so far, I can definitely say I enjoy the man's work. I mean, it's the only book I've read from him so far, but I can definitely say that I really enjoyed this book. Now, a bit of trivia, Joe Hill, when he was a kid, actually played that kid Billy from Creepshow. So, yeah, Billy from Creepshow wrote this book. Now, Horns is about a man named Ig, whose girlfriend was raped and murdered a year prior to the events of the story. Now, everybody thinks Ig did it, but of course there's no evidence to prove it, and it turns out that all the evidence was destroyed. Now, he of course didn't commit the crime, but unfortunately when the evidence was destroyed, all evidence that could have cleared him was destroyed. So, even though they couldn't really send him to jail, everybody still thinks that he killed his girlfriend. So it's a year later, and one night after a big drinking binge, he wakes up to find horns growing out of his head, and he reacts the same way I think pretty much any normal person would react to finding horns growing out of his or her head. He freaks the fuck out, and what happens though is he discovers that these horns give him a special kind of power. It turns out that when he's in the presence of certain people, they see the horns, but they don't react the way a person would normally react to seeing horns growing out of somebody's head. Like, normally, like, if I saw horns growing out of somebody's head, I would probably shit my pants, but, like, when he sees people and they see the horns, they just kind of shrug it off, like, oh, you have horns. But the thing is, though, it also causes them to reveal their deepest, darkest secrets. Like, essentially, they're revealing their personal demons, and what happens is he decides to use this power to find out who actually killed his girlfriend, and that's the plot line of Horns. But Horns, I thought, was a very enjoyable book. Like, what I liked about the book is the book definitely seems to play around with a couple of different genres. Like, in general, I would say the book is a dark fantasy / horror novel, but it's also kind of a drama as well, and it starts out actually as a black comedy. Like, there are a few scenes in the first few chapters of the book which I actually thought were downright hilarious, but as the book goes on, it definitely gets much more serious, and there's a lot of flashbacks in the book to before Ig's girlfriend was murdered, and you see Ig when he was actually happy, and you realize in the book that Ig is actually a very tragic character, and you definitely feel a lot of sympathy for this character, and you really want to see him get revenge on the person who actually killed his girlfriend. Now, in the book, there are actually quite a bit of religious aspects. Like, in the book, Ig is essentially turning into a demon, and you get a real sense of the idea of God actually abandoning him, and they talk about the devil quite a bit in this book. Now, the devil never actually shows up in the book as one of the characters, but you get a real sense of the devil's presence in the book, and when the devil is talked about in the book, he's not really talked about as if he were the bad guy. He's actually, like, almost made out to be, like, a tragic hero, almost. kind of like how he was depicted in the John Milton poem Paradise Lost. Now, I know this isn't the only book to depict the devil as kind of like an anti-hero, but I always been kind of a fan of that when they depict the devil as kind of like a tragic hero. You know, like Anne Rice did it in Menok the Devil. Like, I've always kind of liked that when they do something like that. And also in this book, they reference the song Sympathy for the Devil quite a bit as well. But yeah, I thought Horns was a really good book. Now, they actually made a movie based on this book, and the movie actually has Daniel Radcliffe in it as Ig. Now, I haven't seen the movie because unfortunately the movie has not yet been released here in the United States yet. I think it may have been released in Canada, but it hasn't been released here in the States yet, unfortunately, because I do want to check the movie out at some point, like when it actually comes out here in my country. But yeah, Horns was a really good book. I would definitely recommend it, and bye.